back if you want to take them. They're extra copies that I have. But, I mean, you would be amazed at what these kids can understand. And so then I thought, why aren't we doing this? Why isn't this in our compulsory public school system? Why isn't it in the curriculum? We can start this from kindergarten and build upon it every year, build upon these principles. When they graduate high school, they know John Locke, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, John Adams. They know our country inside and out, and they can recognize when our government is straying from what it's supposed to be. Because after we did this, we talked about taxes and the IRS and property taxes. And I mean, we went into some pretty big detail. And I had them, let's see, we did our John Locke stories. We tied in, the way we tied in taxes and the IRS was with the Little Red Hen story. So we read the Little Red Hen and we talked about it. And before that, I had a student ask about taxes. That's actually how the whole thing got started. Because, you know, you see on commercials all the time, you know, pay your income taxes, H&R Block. And I told them the truth. This is what income taxes are. This is, do you think it's fair or not fair? And of course, nobody thought it was fair. We did a little lesson on, you know, if you do all of your work, you get 2 stickers. Okay, everybody line up at the door. You owe me 1 sticker back. That's the tax you have to pay. So that's an easy way to demonstrate it with the kids. And of course, then we talked about, does it fit in with the principles of property? No, that doesn't fit in with the principles of property. That doesn't fit in with what our founding fathers designed. And we wrote letters to the IRS, class letters that I did not send. I did not send, and I did not send these to the administration. But we did type them up, and each class came in and we read all the class letters. And I can read a letter to you if you like. Yes, please do. Okay. They were all really, really good, so it's hard for me to pick. I'm just going to pick one that's sitting here on the page. Okay. Dear IRS, we are kindergarten students at Nixon Smiley Elementary in Nixon, Texas. Our teacher taught us about the principles of property that John Locke wrote. We read The Little Red Hen. The Little Red Hen story can teach you to understand the principles of property. Thomas Jefferson and John Locke would be happy with the Little Red Hen story because it teaches about property. You should read John Locke. You should do what the principles of property say. The principles of property say you can't steal money and you should keep your own money and let other people keep their money and follow the rules. You have to follow the principles of property. Don't forget what the principles of property say. Stealing is bad. Everything should be right and the people should keep the money they work for, and you shouldn't put people in jail. It's not good for you to take someone's money and spend it on someone else. It's not fair when you put people in jail when they didn't break a law. All people would be happy if you followed the principles of property. If you quit taking people's money, they will say thank you. We think you will say that we are good students, your friends, the frog class. And so I had 5 letters. And we talked about also, after we did the Little Red Hen story, we talked about taxes and what they're used for. I had the students tell me, you know, what are your thoughts on taxes on wages? And these are a few of the things that some of the students said. They said taxes are not right because they're not asking at all. They are just taking it. That is kind of dumb. It hurts you to take money from you to give to someone else. And then I had a student that was really irate about this, really bright student too. And he said, you, IRS, don't take anything away from anyone else or we will put you in jail for 2,086 days without any food. And then I had one that said, it's not nice because when you work, the government says, give me some of that money for your neighbors that don't work. It's not fair because you work for it, and then you don't have no money because they took it. And then I did have some, we talked about, okay, you know, what can we do to help people? Because, you know, that's the big thing. They play on your heartstrings. Well, all these people over here won't have anything if we didn't pay our taxes in. So we talked about what else could we do that isn't taking forcibly from somebody else. So they said, let's see, if they ask for help building something, you can give them some money if you want to. Families can help each other. They should ask people to share their money instead of just taking it, which is what charities used to do before we had all this taxes come in, now nobody wants to give to charities because they're already getting it taken away from their paychecks for welfare. And then we had the Little Red Hen versus the IRS. So we was like, okay, what do you think that she would do if they came knocking on her door? And I had some students, I'll just read a few of them. If they knock on her door, the Little Red Hen won't answer it, and she can go out the back door and escape away. The IRS comes in your windows to arrest you. They're kind of like the SWAT team. And then if they knock on her door, this one is if they try to make her share, she'll say no. And then I had one student say if they knock on her door, she might shoot them. Anyway, we did the IRS letters, we did that. We talked about also cameras and spying. That came up in a lesson on signs that we see, stop signs all around, and they brought up the cameras. So then we talked about, well, what do you think about that? Do you think it's okay for them to be watching everybody all the time? And we went through 3 different scenarios. And some of the students, of course, thought, well, yes, it's good because then nobody will break the law. And then I had some students say, well, no, that's really expensive to put cameras up everywhere. And that really floored me. It was like, wow. And then we talked about, every time I kind of inched it up in increment, like, okay, now they can see you in your house, in your living room. They know what you watch on TV. They know what video games you play. They know what you're eating. What do you think about that? And they would, let's see if I have some of the responses on that. And then we talked about, okay, now they can see you wherever you're at. Anywhere that you are, these cameras can see you. And the people that make the rules are the people watching behind the camera. And maybe they make up some crazy rule that you don't agree with, but you're stuck because they can see you wherever you go. But one of the ones about in the house, if they can see you in the house, there were just 2 students thought that was good, and they said they can send fire trucks in case your house catches on fire. It will keep robbers away from your house. And then I had a couple of students, actually about 4 or 5, that didn't really think that was such a good idea. And they said CPS might come if they don't like what they see. It's bad because your dad might have a gun in the house. They might see where your stuff is and steal it. So if they can get this at kindergarten, they can get this all the way up. And so next year I'm teaching 6th grade, and I'll be teaching language arts and social studies. And I've already looked at the social studies curriculum, and one of the things they teach is that we are a democracy. And so I've already fixed that. And the handout, this handout that you guys have are all of the lessons and worksheets that I've come up with for my 6th graders. Handouts that they have to read and study. We'll discuss in the class. We're going to discuss a democracy versus a republic. Why do you hear Obama, even Bush on TV talking about our democracy? Types of government, and I'm still staying in line with my TEKS, my state, what I have to follow and teach, because I'm supposed to teach the difference between limited and unlimited governments and types of government. So I added some types of government to the list, and you guys have that in here also. The test is in here that I'm going to give to the students to test their knowledge. We talk about natural rights versus civil rights. What is the difference? What did our founders believe in? We compare words that the founding fathers said to words that contemporary politicians have said. Cheney and Rice, I put a couple of their quotes in there, and we're comparing that to what the founders had said. Let's see, what else did I put in there, Mom?
A lot of stuff.
I did put a lot. Our types of government.
You can actually take the test yourself.
I put direct quotes from our founding fathers proving that we are a republic. Not one time in the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence do they say we are a democracy. And they were very adamant about that. And what I've done is I went ahead and planned the whole 9 weeks out. We're going to learn about John Locke and the principles of property also. And I showed it to the other teachers because I teach one class of social studies. I have 3 other team members that also teach. And they like us to do the same thing when it comes to that. So I've showed them what I had planned, what I laid out, and they all agreed to it wholeheartedly. So every 6th grader in that district will get the same